2. Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. I must say, back in April when the schedule came out, I knew we were going to be playing in Miami. To open the season in Miami is a wonderful thing when it's 90 degrees. They all survived a storm down in South Florida. God bless everybody in the storm's path coming up this weekend. But Alain Poupart has covered the Dolphins for a number of years. He's been a great guest on our program, not only talking some Fins, but also some hockey over the years. You can follow him at A Poupart. It's Poupart, Fins, Fins. And what is left of the Dolphins there, Alain, this week is for you and all the other beat writers. I mean, I've watched some lousy baseball up here. We have a baseball team that's been tanking for a couple of years. It's difficult to watch. I know you watch the Marlins down there as well. But the Dolphins appear to be going through a massive transition here just in the last 5 or 6 days, right?
It's a perfect way to sum it up. It is a transition year. It's a real rebuilding process. They're going to try to win games this year. They're also doing everything with an eye on the future as well, which explains some of the roster moves they made, such as the big deal with the Houston Texans that sent Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills over to Houston for really a really nice return of 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick. So they set themselves up to be in great shape for the 2020 draft. And ideally, the idea is that the rebuilding process is quicker than it is longer, but there are going to be some bumpy times ahead as they go through this process.
Was there any point in the offseason where you really looked at this team and thought, yeah, they can win 10 games? I mean, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, wherever Josh Rosen is, it clearly believed in him in making the deal that they made. What about this said they need to throw in the towel to some degree, which it feels to me, if I were a fan, that's how I would feel. I think everybody, we'll see whether there's a line to the stadium on Sunday or not. But if you do feel like you can't compete, I guess in the modern era that we've seen this in the NBA, I've seen it in Major League Baseball. The Astros are a beneficiary of this. The Orioles are hoping to be a beneficiary. But in the NFL, we tend to think of these things as being, well, everybody's got a chance to win 9 or 10 games because it's that competitive of a league.
Yeah, but here's the thing with the Dolphins is if you look back, 10, 15 years, it's pretty much every single solitary year they're in the 7, 8, 9 win range. With the occasional outlier, 2008 and 2016, jumping out at 2 years they made the playoffs, but they never were able to sustain anything or put themselves in a position where they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender, which obviously is the goal of any organization. And when they made the coaching change after last season, the owner, Stephen Ross, basically set out that we need to change basically our philosophy. And a big part of that philosophy is they wanted to land that true franchise quarterback that they've lacked pretty much ever since Dan Marino retired after the 99 season. And they're going to do whatever it takes to get that done. And they're going to take a lot of shots, and eventually by all means, they are going to get it done. The trade for Josh Rosen was an attempt to say, hey, this guy obviously has clear potential. He was a 10th overall pick last year. There's a lot of tools to work with here. Could he be that guy? So let's pull the trade. Where they had some extra ammunition in the draft, and now they've built up even more for next year, where they can, again, if they decide that Josh Rosen is not going to be that guy, they can go back and look for somebody else who potentially could be that guy because they were kind of tired of being in that 7, 8, 9 win range year in and year out, and then patching holes every year with veterans who will be good for maybe a year or two, but don't really give you that sustained success that every organization wants.
Do the Patriots tend to make them more competitive in that way, knowing that that's what's been really in the way of them, the Bills, the Jets, and everyone, literally not being able to beat the Patriots has been a problem for all of these teams, and chasing whatever that is, and obviously bringing in Brian Flores now, there are a lot of teams chasing what the Patriots have, right, and have come up unsuccessful largely, right?
Yeah, in a way, I agree with you. In the same sense, they're worried about themselves. I mean, the thing is, if they build the organization the way they want to, and they do get that franchise quarterback, whether it be Josh Rosen, whether it be Tua, I won't even attempt to pronounce his first name right now, whether it be Trevor Lawrence 2 years down the road, whether it be Justin Herbert next year, whoever it is, I think their focus is on landing that guy, building the organization the way we want, and then we'll be in a position where we can deal with the Patriots and worry about the Patriots, because right now their focus is on themselves. Obviously, Patriots is a great model to emulate, but the thing is, a lot of teams have tried and not fared so well. I will tell you that everything I've seen so far from Brian Flores is very, very impressive. I think he's going to get things done right. I think he's the type of coach that can get this team wins beyond what their talent level would suggest. The key now is to build up a roster that actually can contend.
Alain Poupart has covered the Dolphins at Dolphins.com. You can find him at @PoupartFins. He also does some hockey from time to time. You can find him out on Twitter opining about all sorts of things, including Super 70 sports things that I love as well. Thinking about this from the inside and saying, all right, well, if you don't believe you can win, then how do you maximize it? I don't think there's anybody that doesn't believe they got nice value in return if you weren't going to keep Tunsil around. Certainly on the Houston side of things and the Seattle side of things, giving away draft picks and stuff has been a question all week long for a lot of teams. And Indianapolis had their issue last week with Andrew Luck. There's been a lot of things that have happened, but dealing off for draft picks, then it becomes, well, who's going to make those draft picks next year, right? And that's really been one of the issues is you can have all of these draft picks, you have to hit on them.
Well, no question about it. And they have the people in place who they feel are going to get the job done, and that's GM Chris Greer, Brandon Shore was in the front office as well, and Brian Flores. Obviously, Stephen Ross has entrusted them to make those right decisions. And you go back to that Tunsil trade. I'm sorry, but you present any team with two number ones and a number two for Laramie Tunsil, who is, mind you, a very good left tackle, but still, 2 firsts and a second. I don't think that there are that many franchises around the NFL who would pass up that offer.
Oh, yeah, and I think on the other side, some people think that it wasn't a bad deal, but now you got to go play football without a left tackle, right? So that's where the Ravens find this game this week, a team that's 300-1 to win the Super Bowl, and the Dolphins, that from my side, coming down as a Ravens fan, this better be a game the Ravens win on Sunday.
Fair. I will tell you this. Let me one last quick point about starting left tackles. I did the research here. The last 5 teams who won the Super Bowl on that day started left tackles that have combined for exactly 0 Pro Bowls. So basically tells you it tells you that having a great left tackle is not the end-all be-all. Going to the game on Sunday, yeah, ideally on paper, I should say realistically on paper, you would think the Ravens come here thinking this is a game that they should win. What I would tell you is, again, I have a very high level of confidence in Brian Flores and his ability to devise a game plan on defense to really frustrate and deal with Lamar Jackson and the problems he presents as perhaps the best dual threat quarterback in the NFL because of his insane running ability. If you remember what the Chargers did in the playoffs last year, it would not surprise me in the least if the Dolphins used an awful lot of defensive backs on defense against the Ravens, and the Dolphins do have some bodies in the secondary. They have some core pieces. If you look at the Dolphins roster, and everybody talks about it's very shallow in terms of talent, but most of the talent they do have is on that defensive side of the ball and at all levels. With, let's say, Devon Gottschall, who's a very good young player, and their first-round pick, Christian Wilkins, on the defensive line. Jerome Baker looks like a star in the making at linebacker. And in the secondary, you got Xavier Howard, who's about as good a cornerback as there is in the league, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, who was their first-round pick last year and who I think is going to be a Pro Bowl player before long. So there is some talent on that defense, and Brian Flores has shown the ability to come up with really good defensive game plans. All we have to do is look back at that Super Bowl last year when the Patriots completely shut down the Rams offense, and it was Brian Flores who called that defense that day.
Well, I will be in Miami this weekend for the action. Of course, the season ends in Miami, whether the Ravens or the Dolphins are involved either way at the Hard Rock Stadium. Alain, I've been in that stadium, I don't know, 50 times in my life for baseball, concerts, football, Super Bowls, Ravens games, playoff games. I am really looking forward to seeing whatever has been done down there. $500 million is a lot of money to spend on a facility. I understand the Dolphins are coming in-house now. I'll be practicing there, not Davey anymore. I am really interested to roll down University and see what they've built next to the former Calder racetrack, right?
Oh, it's outstanding. I mean, it's absolutely breathtaking what they've done with it. And The architectural firm that's doing the practice facility across the field is the same one that designed what they did to accommodate the tennis tournament, the Miami Open last March it was, and it was absolutely spectacular. I mean, I went to the tennis tournament in Key Biscayne many, many times, and I went to the one at the Hard Rock Stadium last year, and it was like, it was just as impressive. I mean, the job they have done with that stadium, I mean, it's really, really impressive.
Well, I mean, it was always sitting there sort of waiting for, something to happen after it was Joe Robbie Stadium, and playing baseball wasn't a very good idea there kind of ever. So I am really looking forward. I mean, it looks awesome. It looks European. It looks modern. It looks all of that. I will be arriving early and hoping to beat the traffic on Sunday. It's always great to have you on. Hey, man, I'll save the hockey talk for next time because I know how much you love hockey as well, but it'll be great to see you on Sunday. We'll get down there and get some sunshine.
Sounds like a plan.
Alain Poupart, Poupart Fins. He covers the Dolphins for Dolphins.com and the editor of Dolphin Digest. You can find him out on Twitter, and always a great guest here. When we're not talking hockey, we're talking football. You can find me out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We come in crystal clear. Even in South Florida, we'll be down there for 10 days for Super Bowl coverage. The Super Bowl's actually at the Hard Rock Stadium, but Super Bowl week is going to be in Miami Beach this year, not up in Fort Lauderdale. So we're looking forward to that on the rotation. Nice to get Miami back in the rotation, and no offense to Minneapolis or Atlanta, but it'll be nice to have some sunshine in February. We are planning full coverage. The Ravens this weekend. I'll be in Miami. Luke's in Owings Mills. All of the updates and any of the breaking news you get first on the WNST Tech Service. That is all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis Kolatzis will be here on Thursday from 3 until 5. I join him. Luke joins him, getting you ready for the game on Sunday morning in the Sunday Sports Voice with Dennis Kolatzis. I am Nestor. We are Baltimore Positive, doing all sorts of stuff. We're Jennings Cafe with Al Hathaway this week. The great Reverend, making Baltimore better. Anybody that's making Baltimore better, we have them on Baltimore Positive. That's Sarah Heminger next week at Jennings Cafe in Catonsville, as well as next Friday. Ben Jealous will join us with a special announcement on Friday the 13th. I'm also at Acuria Wellness in the afternoon on Friday the 13th. We had Matt Skura out with us at Greenmount Station. We swabbed for the Bone Marrow Registry. All brought to you by our friends at Freedmont Mortgage. You might want to find that out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault, as well as incredible chats with Dick Cass, with Ron Shapiro. It's been a great, great week of radio to kick off the season. We're headed to Miami. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.